Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here, and today we are reviewing Demon Turf for Nintendo Switch. But these words are not mine, they belong to the superstar Ollie Reynolds. I am simply his puppet today. But without further ado, Demon Turf! If there's one thing gamers crave, it's a decent 3D platformer. Though the genre has seen its fair share of all-time classics, it's safe to say its popularity waned as shooters and action RPGs ascended through the 2000s. Indeed, unless a 3D platformer comes bearing the name of Mario, Crash or Spyro, chances are it will face a fairly steep uphill battle. But in comes Demon Turf. Developed by Fabraz and published by Platonic Friends, it stars Beebs, a 1,000-year-old demon who must navigate a series of levels, or turfs, in order to reclaim the land from the Demon King, and ultimately, usurp the ruler from his throne. Getting a 3D platformer to feel authentically retro can be a tall order. Thankfully, Demon Turf pulls it off for the most part. You'll spend the vast majority of your time utilizing Beebs' various abilities in order to get from point A to point B, leaping across platforms, bouncing on trampolines, and dispatching various foes who happen to be standing in your way. Your goal is to collect batteries in order to unlock the gateway to the zone's boss characters. Defeat these and you move on to the next set of stages. The platforming controls feel remarkably tight. It's clear the developers have taken note from Nintendo's premier platformers. Beebs can do triple jumps, backflips and long jumps in the exact same way as a certain plumber. There's a little bit of a learning curve involved when you start out. Moving what is effectively a 2D sprite within a 3D world can be a bit jarring for the first few levels, but after a short amount of time you'll settle in with the rhythm. The stages themselves can prove to be quite tricky at times, so this is where Demon Turf's unique checkpoint system comes into play. Rather than dole out standard checkpoints like every other platformer, you're required to set your own checkpoints by planting a flag in the ground wherever you choose. You only have a certain number of flags you can use, so deciding where to use them can make the level a cakewalk or an absolute nightmare. In essence, however, being able to set your own checkpoints doesn't add that much value to the experience. Staking your turf is a fun idea, but more often than not, you'll be so wrapped up in making your way through a level that you forget to plant flags at all. There are specific spots the game does highlight, but arguably this goes against the concept of planting flags. As brilliant as the platforming is, the same unfortunately can't be said for the combat. It's simply too janky and repetitive and halts the momentum you gain during platforming segments. At various intervals, you'll come across small, contained arenas in which several enemies will pop into existence, and you simply must demolish them to unlock the next pathway. Beebs can shoot out projectiles that force enemies backwards upon impact, and with this you can push them off the stage or into a wall of spikes. It sounds fun in theory, but in execution, it's just a bit flat. As you make your way through the game, you'll unlock brand new abilities like the grapple hook. This can be used both for traversal and grappling onto enemies, but again, utilizing this ability for combat never feels all that fun. Whenever a combat section cropped up, we found ourselves rushing through it to get back to the stellar platforming, and thankfully you are platforming most of the time. Aside from the standard levels, there's plenty to be getting on with in the game's hub world. Here you'll meet a load of characters, some of whom offer challenges. These include a rather whimsical game of golf in which you move a giant boulder down a course towards the goal. You can also collect items like lollipops and exchange these for color dyes, and with these you can customize Beebs. Featuring flat 2D characters in 3D environments, Demon Turf initially looks a bit, well, odd. But in practice, the juxtaposition between visual styles actually holds a lot of charm. There are so many expressive elements of Beebs and the surrounding cast, and it reminded us an awful lot of the timeless style of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. The music and sound design are worth a shout out too. The music reminded us of games like Splatoon and the classic Dreamcast title Jet Set Radio, with vinyl scrubbing and rhythmic beats making up for the majority of tunes. It's just heaped with attitude, and we love it. Most of the core cast are fully voice acted too, which is a fantastic little touch. Demon Turf is a fantastic platformer, but it's held back from true greatness by sections of dull and repetitive combat. But push through this and you have a game that rewards daring and bravery, bolstered by wonderful platforming controls that let you string together incredible combos. The visuals are initially a bit jarring, but the character design really shines through and gives it a timeless aesthetic. If you're a fan of 3D platformers from the golden era, this one is well worth a look. We here at Nintendo Life give Demon Turf an 8 out of 10. And hey, thank you for watching! I've got a few of my own words in just a moment, but until then, go to that subscribe button and it's transformed into a demon and it's doing a majestic jump! And we'll see you next time. Bye everyone. So thank you, Ollie, for the review. I won't say too much because a lot of his feelings do kind of mirror my own, but I do want to emphasize just how good the platforming is in Demon Turf. The moveset is so fluid and natural, and of course when you start off you'll be doing triple jumps and long jumps and backflips, just like in Mario 64. But before long you'll be using the unique mechanics. You can spin around, which gets used kind of like a safety net, but you can also risk your jump. So you could do a double jump, or you could spin first and then do a much longer jump in the air, which you have less control over, but you go way further. And I think the potential with the moveset is really going to elevate the game. In fact, it's already elevated it. Prior to launch, those who have tried the demos for Demon Turf have done incredible things speedrun-wise. This whole game feels like a speedrunner's dream. It looks amazing, it plays amazing, and there's tons of reasons to come back again and again. It even incentivizes you with leaderboards for every single level. And while Ollie felt the checkpoint system wasn't that defined, I actually really liked it. Sometimes there's long vertical shafts, and falling down kinda sucks, but if you set a checkpoint you can teleport right back to it. It just chops down on the busy work, and I really like the feature. But unfortunately, Ollie did have a point when it comes to combat. Now combat's not that prevalent in the game itself, but it does just slow everything down. It's a bit too floaty, loose and slow, and you do just want to get back to the platforming. I do believe this is one of the best feeling 3D platformers in years, and the combat isn't a deal breaker. It's just a bit of a scratch on an otherwise really polished product. If you want something different and quirky, give it a go.